शुक्र खुदा में रज़वी हो।
अपने ख्वाजा से मुँह न मोड़ेंगे, दामन गौथ हम न छोड़ेंगे। अपने ख्वाजा से मुँह न मोड़ेंगे, दामन गौथ हम न छोड़ेंगे। जलने वाले जले मगर हम तो रिश्ता अहमद रज़ा से जोड़ेंगे। जलने वाले जले मगर हम तो रिश्ता अहमद रज़ा से जोड़ेंगे। वाह क्या मर्तबा है गौस है बाला तेरा, वाह क्या मर्तबा है गौस है बाला तेरा। ऊंचे ऊंचों के सरों से कदम आला तेरा, ऊंचे ऊंचों के सरों से कदम आला तेरा। सर भला क्या कोई जाने कहे कैसा तेरा, सर भला क्या कोई जाने कहे कैसा तेरा। औलिया मलते हैं आंखें वो है तलवा तेरा, औलिया मलते हैं आंखें वो है तलवा तेरा। सर भला क्या कोई जाने कहे कैसा तेरा। औलिया मलते हैं आंखें वो है तलवा तेरा। सरकार गौसे आदम जिलानी बगदादी रज़ी अल्लाह ताला अन्हु, आला हज़रत अज़ीमुल बरकत इमाम अहले सुन्नत रज़ी अल्लाह अन्हु saying वाह. You know, when you say wah in Urdu language, you ask Hazrat. I was asking Hazrat Allama Mufti Afthab Cassim to give some speech also tonight, but Hazrat has given me the mauka to say something more. But if you ask him and you ask anybody who is well read in Urdu, when do you say wah? Wah is like saying wow.
Yes.
For without comparison, for understanding. Right? When do you say that?
इंग्लिश में इसका विकल्प एक्सप्लेनेशन क्या हो सकता है?
हाँ, ये मैं समझा रहा हूँ कि in English you say wow, right? But why do you say wah? When you say something, what is the reason for saying wah? Why you say this? You're shocked, you're amazed, you're surprised, and at the same time you're excited.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah.
You're excited, you're elated, right? Now you say wah. Allah Hazrat Azimul Barakat is starting by saying wah. Starting by saying wah. क्या मर्तबा है गौस है बाला तेरा. He's saying, oh Ghaus Azam radiallahu ta'ala an, he's saying in the court of Sarkar Ghaus Pak radiallahu ta'ala an, कि या Ghaus Azam radiallahu an, वाह क्या मर्तबा है गौस है बाला तेरा. Wow, oh Ghaus, your status indeed so exalted. Wow, kya martaba. In other words, Ala Hazrat is not doing lip service here.
Allah.
You must understand this. Ala Hazrat Azimul Barakat is not just saying wow because of lip service. Oh, because everybody is saying that Ghaus Pak's martaba is very high. That is why Ala Hazrat is saying wow. We are talking about here the Mujaddid. We are talking here about the greatest wali of his time. He's saying, wow, kya martaba e Ghaus hai bala tera. Wow, oh Ghaus Pak radiallahu, your status is indeed so exalted. Why is he saying wow? The reason he's saying wow, if you really look at it in a deep spiritual sense, will you say wow if you don't know about something? You'll say wah usually when you see something or you hear something. When it's happening in front of you. Here Sarkar Ala Hazrat is saying wah, because he is with his eyes seeing the maqam and the martaba of Ghaus Pak. He's seeing the blessings of Sarkar Ghaus Pak radiallahu. He's seeing the fuyuz and the barakat of Sarkar Ghaus Pak radiallahu. So he's saying wow, ya Ghaus Pak radiallahu. Such indeed so exalted Allah has, such a great status Allah has given you कि वाह क्या मर्तबा है गौस है बाला तेरा ऊंचे ऊंचों के सरों से. In other words, Sarkar Ghaus Pak radiallahu, Allah has given you such a maqam that above the heads of the super elite, the uncha, the elite, uncho, above the heads of the super elite are your feet so exalted. Your qadam ya Ghaus Pak radiallahu an is above all of them. And then Allah Hazrat is saying to Ahmad Raza, what are you talking about the head? What are you talking about the head? Sar bhala kya koi jane kehe kaisa tera. You are talking about the head. He says, how then will anyone understand the status of your head so exalted.
Allah, Allah.
Because first he said that such is your status that your Qadam Sharif is over the heads of the most super elite amongst the awliya. And then after that he said, Sar bhala kya koi jaane ke hai kaisa tera.
Allah, Allah.
If this is the condition of your foot, if this is the condition of your Mubarak Qadam, then where will people realize the maqam of your head?
Allah, Allah.
If this is the shan of your Qadam of Ghaus Pak, radiallahu an, where will people really realize the maqam of your head? Your Sar Mubarak, he says, Sar bhala kya koi jaane ke kaisa tera. How then will anyone understand the status of your head? So exalted. Awliya malte hai aankhe, wo hai talwa tera.
Allah, Allah.
He says, how will somebody understand the excellence of your head? When the awliya rub their eyes, where? On the soles of your sacred feet so exalted.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah.
This is the shan that Allah has given to Sarkar-e Ghaus Azam Jilani radiallahu ta'ala. And so we are very khush nasib. We are very, very fortunate that we are commemorating the Gyarhweeñ Shareefs of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiallahu. Now there are numerous narrations of why this is Gyarhweeñ Shareef. I'm not going to go into the depth. I'm not going to go into the depth and the detailed discussion. There are numerous narrations, there are numerous discussions of the mashayikh and the great scholars of why we do Gyarhweeñ Shareef. But one narration is, it is the Wisal of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak, is the Urs of Ghaus Pak radiallahu. But the authentic narrations also say that the Urs, the Wisal, is on the 17th. So some say 11th, 17th. But because Gyarhweeñ Shareef has become mashhur. Another reason Gyarhweeñ Shareef is because the mashayikh, some scholars have said that on the eve of the 12th, the 11th night that used to follow, before the 12th, Ghaus Pak used to make the Mawlud of Rasul Pak every month. Another riwayat which very important, that on the 11th of this month tonight is the Urs of Hazrat Abu Sayyid Mubarak Al-Makhzumi radiallahu.
Subhanallah,
Sayyidina Abu Sayyid Mubarak Al-Makhzumi radiallahu. Who is he? The Murshid of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak.
Subhanallah.
The Murshid of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiallahu. So what Ghaus Pak was doing every month? Every month on the date that his Murshid left the dunya, he was making the Urs of Sarkar-e Abu Sayyid Mubarak Al-Makhzumi. So those who call themselves Qadri, you should make it you have, but if your Murshid Kamil left on that particular date on that month, every month make the niyaz of your Murshid Kamil.
Subhanallah.
This is the tariqah of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiallahu. But obviously we say that it is the Urs of Sarkar-e Ghaus Azam Al-Jilani Al-Baghdadi radiallahu. So the barakat of Gyarhweeñ Shareef are immense. The barakat and the blessings of Gyarhweeñ Shareef are immense, and we've talked about this many times. Now, we are khush nasib, we are fortunate, and almost every Jummah and almost every lecture that I try to deliver, of late I've been reading one ayat. Today I read, Allah inna awliyallahi la khawfun alayhim wa la hum yahzanun. You all know it. Everybody knows it. We know it from the time we're children. You hear it, you read it, you listen to it. All the Sunnis know it. Right? Very well. It's ayat of the Quran, everybody should know. Right? But one verse that I've been reading very much often lately is Ya ayyuhal ladina amanu taqullaha wa kunu ma'as sadiqin.
Subhanallah.
I've been very often reading this verse of the Holy Quran, and one of the reasons that I've been reading this verse so often lately is because my Murshid Kareem, Huzur Sayyidi Sardi Sarkar Taj Sharia radiallahu, most often read this in his khutbah. Most often he read this. Why? Because in this zamana, this ayat is a very important message for the time that we are going through. It is a very important message for this time that we are going through. Allah is saying in the Holy Quran, "Hey Iman walo, Allah said daro." Yeah, this is the translation of Kanzul Iman. Okay? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wa kunu ma'as sadiqin. Hey Iman walo, Allah said daro aur sachcho ke saath. Okay? O believers, O you who believe, fear Allah and keep the company of the righteous,
Subhanallah.
of the Allah fearing,
Subhanallah.
of the pious. Now, it is very simple for us to understand. I've talked about this many, many times before. That when a person keeps the company of the pious, when he keeps the company of the righteous people, when he keeps the company of the truthful and the righteous one, he reaches a level of righteousness himself. When a person keeps the company of नेक लोगों के साथ रहोगे, तो लोग आपको भी नेक कहने लगेंगे ना. Even if you are not in that level, but because of the company that you keep. The beloved Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it has been mentioned in the hadith, and giving the gist that the beloved Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught us that company is very important. If you keep the company of good people, you will be counted amongst the good. And the example that was given was what? That if you stay with the company, in the company of the musk seller, then the fragrance and the khushbu of that musk will rub onto you sometime or the other.
Subhanallah.
And if you stand next to the blacksmith's bellow, where he's burning and melting whatever he's doing, sometime or the other that soot will come onto your clothes. That blackness will come onto your clothes. So the company, your sohbat is very important. The company that you keep is very, very important. So if you keep the company of righteous people, then you will be counted amongst the righteous. People will count you as amongst the righteous and as an honest person. And even though you have some weakness in you, even though we may have some kami in us, but because we keep the company of the pious people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy will descend upon us. You must remember, if you are sitting with people who are making zikrullah, even if your mouth is silent, but you'll get the barakat of sitting amongst those who make zikrullah. Huh? But if you sit in the company of those who are slandering Rasulullah, ma'adallahi rabbil alamin, those who are slandering Rasulullah's system, you at that time say, but I didn't do it, I was silenced. Your silence is your destruction. Your silence at that time is your destruction, because silence is consent. Silence is consent. When the beloved Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is being slandered and you were silent at that time, you're saying, but the person was reading zikr, everybody is reading zikr, one person was silent, but he got the barakah. Because his silence is consent. Because he was silent, because he was acknowledging that this is the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that person's silence there at that time, he was consenting to what they were saying. Or he was too scared to say anything. At that time, not silent, at that time the zuban should move. At that time the zuban should move. Otherwise you are equivalent or worse than them. You are equivalent or worse than them. So the company that you keep makes a very big difference in your life. It's very important that a person keeps righteous company. And however, it must be noted that if a person is, a person's nature is what attracts him. Example, Hazrat Maulana is here, and when I enter the masjid, even if he was sitting there, automatically if it wasn't tilawat or some other thing happening, I will go to him. Why? Like-minded people are attracted. Like-hearted people are attracted. You'll see in the mahfil sometimes people are sitting, there's 100 people there. But you'll see the fellow who swears and shouts half the time will go sit with those fellows who swear and shout. Have you seen that or not? And you'll see the person who doesn't like to be too noisy, he will sit with the people that are quiet. Why? Because your nature attracts you towards what is within your inner self.
Subhanallah, subhanallah.
Your nature attracts you towards what is in your inner self. Now I'm saying all this for a reason. I'm saying all this for a reason. That we must make shukr that Allah has made our nature such that we are attracted to the awliya Allah.
Subhanallah, subhanallah.
Allah has made our nature such. We must make shukr for this. Day and night we must make shukr.
Subhanallah.
That we are not attracted to those who say don't go to Mazar Sharif. We are not. If you are attracted in that direction, then kuch mamla garbar. Something's wrong. We are not attracted to those who say that don't stand up and say Mustafa Jan Rahmat pe lakho salam. We are attracted to those who say Muhammadur Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is Imamul Anbiya. We are attracted to those who say Ghaus Azam is Imamul Awliya. We are attracted to the court of Sarkar Khaja Qaribun Nawaz radiallahu anhu. We are attracted to the court of Hazrat Sayyidina Mahdum al-Shamna radiallahu ta'ala. We are attracted to the court of Sayyidina Shah Barakatullah radiallahu anhu. We are attracted to the court of Sayyidina Sabi Ali Ahmad Alauddin Kalyari radiallahu anhu. We are attracted to the court of all the awliya Allah. Why? Because Allah has blessed us with this nature. We must be grateful to this, that Allah has blessed us with this nature. And Alhamdulillah, we mustn't be shy to say we are Ghulaman Mustafa. We must never be shy to say we are the slaves of the beloved Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We are the slaves of Mustafa Jan Rahmat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We mustn't be shy to say we are the devotees of Ghaus Azam radiallahu anhu. We mustn't be shy to say we are the followers of Sarkar Khaja Qaribun Nawaz, Sarkar Ala Hazrat Huzur Taj Sharia, Huzur Mufti Azam, Huzur Muhaddis, all the Mashayikh. We mustn't be shy to say that we are the followers of the pious servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we must not be shy to say that we are attached to them. Don't ever be shy to say you are attached to the pious, because the Quran is saying وَكُونُوا مَعَ الصَّادِقِينَ. The Quran is saying be attached to the pious. If you are attached to the pious, this is your stamp of authority. If you are attached to the pious, this is your stamp that this is not fake mal. When you are attached to the pious, without comparison, you buy any clothes, without comparison, bila tashbih, bila tamsil. You buy any clothes. I said this before. You go to one shop, you went with your children shopping? Go with your children shopping? Go to the children shopping. They go to buy a shirt or a pant or a shoe. They go and pick up one, leave it down. Pick up another one, leave it down. Pick another one. Bhai, you know your size, you know the color. Why are you picking 10 different shoes? The first one that you picked fitted you, color is right. Why? Abba, this is not the right shoe. I'm looking for that branded one. I'm looking for that branded one. I don't even want to take that one. Yahudiyo kama. We look for the child is looking for a branded one. But you're saying, beta, that look at that one that's next to it. That thing is 200 rand, bhai. That one that you're picking is 2,000 rand. That shirt that you picked up is 1,500 rand. The one that's kept next to it is 200 rand. Same color, same look, same pattern, same design, same size, everything same. But what's the issue? You don't want that. You want to take that one that's for 1,500 rand. Both are same, son. Think about my pocket at least sometime, your father's pocket. But where the young generation think about that today? No, but I want that one. Bhai, samjhao to say, why that one? Said that one is branded. What that one is? Branded. That is branded. I said, what's the difference? It is branded or non-branded? Said, Abba, that one is branded. It's gone to top quality control. Top fabric. This one, which you're telling me to buy for 200 rand, 200 rand, 200 days bhi nahi chalega. In no time, ghis jayega. The color will start fading. After mommy puts it in the machine and takes it at one time, it won't even fit me. It will start shrinking. This is going to be the hal of this 200 rand one. But this one for 1,500 is reputable. All the big companies know that this one is reputable, well branded, good quality, and it will last me for a long time. I'm not going to have to come and buy 10 200 rand shirts. I'll wear this one for 10 years. I said, oh son, now you're making sense. Take that one there. Take that one there. Now without comparison, for understanding, we are branded by the stamp of the awliya Allah. We are branded by the stamp of Sarkar Ala Hazrat Adimul Barakat. We are branded, why? Because we want that stamp of Hosepa. We want that stamp of Sarkar Khaja Garibul Nawaz. We want that stamp of Hazrat Mehboob Ilahi. We want that stamp of Hudur Taj Sharia. Why? Because we are spiritually branded. So we are not like that fake market. Do din mein bekar ho jai iman bidda besh dala. In no time, give everything away. Inshallah, we are those that once we take that stamp, in the dunya too will be safe and in the akhirat too. It's simple. It's very simple. For the dunya, we look for the best. So we should make shukr that we are attracted to the pious servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should make shukr that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this tawfiq and khair. Now, you find a lot of time that people say that this Barmi fellas are going. The Bad Mazhab say, isn't it? This is Maulud Sharif, Maulud boys. Yeah, the Gyarhweeñ Shareef, Ghost Park boys. Yeah, this Khaja Garib Nawaz people. Yeah, this Ala Hadrat people. Yeah, this Barelvi people are going. Now people get frustrated. Some people get frustrated. So look at what they're telling us. See what they're telling us. They're doing this thinking that they're mocking you. They're doing this thinking that they're making mazak. But they themselves are acknowledging that ye sachcho ke saath hai. They themselves are acknowledging that they are with the right people, they are with Hazrat Badshah Pir radiallahu, they are with Falah Buzurg, they are with Fazah Buzurg. They are acknowledging themselves that we are with the true people, we are with the pious people, and this is why we should always be attached to the pious servants of Allah, so that that attachment continues in the hereafter as well. Simple. I'm not giving you a very lengthy discussion today. Simple to understand. And the other thing that you must understand, that Sarkar Ghaus-e-Pak, whose Gyarhweeñ Shareef we are celebrating and who we are remembering today, whose Urs Mubarak and whose Gyarhweeñ Shareef and whose Yad we make all the time. Sarkar Ghaus-e-Pak radiallahu anhu is Shahinshah Awliya. He is the Imam of the mystics. He is the Imam of the saints. He is the beloved of the beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. He is the coolness of the eyes of Mawla Ali and Fatima al-Zahra radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. And who is he? He is Pir Dastagir. Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiyallahu anhu is our Pir Dastagir. And if you want to really know the maqam of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak and the honor which Allah has blessed Sarkar-e Ghaus Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, then one good way of doing it. You can read the books, you can hear from the ulama, etc. One beautiful way of doing it is to read the Qasida Ghausiyya of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak.
Subhanallah,
Read and understand the meaning. It's been a lot of translations available, good translations available. Read and understand the meaning of the Qasida Ghausiyya of Ghaus Pak. And let me tell you, if you read Qasida Ghausiyya, it's such a wazifa. It's such a powerful amal. If you read it every day, you will see the barakat in your life, you will be amazed. You will be amazed. And a person who reads Qasida Ghausiyya 3 times in a day, anytime 3 times in a day, the blessings that he sees will amaze him. Simple, it takes 5 minutes to read. To read Qasida, 5 to 6 minutes it will take to read Qasida Ghausiyya Shareef. But Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiyallahu anhu, his fazilat and his blessedness and his authority, if you look at, because see, every other book that you're going to read is what all the greats have said about Ghaus Pak. In Qasida Ghausiyya Ghaus Pak himself is saying.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah.
In Qasida Ghausiyya, Sarkar-e Ghaus Azam Jilani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu is saying himself about the shan that Allah has bestowed upon him. And who better to hear about than from the Zuban of Ghaus Pak himself? Who better to hear about it than from the Zuban of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiyallahu ta'ala himself? Now, Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiyallahu anhu's eloquence, if you look at, I'm just talking, since I said Qasida Ghausiyya, let me tell you. And I'm going to complete before Salatul Isha so that we can finish with Salami before Azan. Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiyallahu anhu, Allahu Akbar. We can talk about Ghaus Pak's life is so diverse. It's so multi-dimensional. He's such a personality. We can talk about him, from one end to another, to the other, and we still won't finish. But one thing about Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak, since I said Qasida Ghausiyya Shareef, if you listen to the Qasida Ghausiyya Shareef, and if you listen to the eloquence, listen to the fasahat and the balaghat, the eloquence and the fluency of the Qasida of Sarkar-e Ghaus Azam, Jinali radiyallahu ta'ala, and if you listen with your heart, you will be amazed, especially those who understand the Arabic language. If you listen and read the Qasida Ghausiyya of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak, and you start to think that Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak to Faris ke rehne wale the. Ghaus Pak radiyallahu anhu was from Faris, from Persia, which is today Iran. He used to live in Persia. He lived in Gilan. Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak later moved to Baghdad Sharif for ilm. Okay? And on the hukum of his, the blessings of his beloved mother. But Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak was not an Arab by birth. He was not born in an Arabian environment, an Arabic environment. But the fasahat and the balaghat of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiyallahu anhu was such, the sweetness in the tongue of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak was such, Allahu Akbar. It was such a beautiful sweetness, and you start to think, what is the barakat of the sweetness of the beloved Rasul, of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak's tongue? This was the barakat of the lu'ab-e-dahan of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This was the blessing of the saliva of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which he had placed in the Mubarak mouth of Ghaus Azam radiyallahu anhu. Something I want you to think about. How many times have you heard the waqia about Ghaus Pak radiyallahu anhu, where Sarkar-e do Alam sallallahu alaihi wasallam came in the vision, in the dream of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak? Let me tell you about the dreams of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak. Very quickly. We say Rasul Pak came in the dream of Ghaus Pak radiyallahu anhu, and we know he put his lu'ab, I'm being very short, brief because time is not going to permit. He put his lu'ab-e-dahan in the sacred mouth of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiyallahu anhu. Now you say it was in a dream, but you know the reality of the dream of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak. You know the maqam of the dreams of Rasul Ghaus Pak radiyallahu anhu. तो यही कि सरकार गौस पाक रदियल्लाहु अन्हु, the maqam of the dreams, Huzur Ghaus Pak radiallahu anhu, when Rasul Pak came, so Ghaus Pak radiallahu anhu was not prepared to lecture to the people. Because he said, I'm non-Arab. How am I going to explain to the Arabs? How am I going to have the tasir in my zuban? Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam came in his Mubarak dream, and the Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam put his lu'ab Mubarak. And then another riwayat says that Mawla Ali radiallahu anhu came, and he put 1 time less than what Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam put in the Mubarak mouth of Sarkar Ghaus Pak. But talking about the dream very quickly, the shan of the dream of Ghaus Pak is that once Ghaus Pak radiallahu anhu was delivering a talk
Subhanallah.
Once Ghaus Pak radiallahu anh was delivering a talk. And Ghaliban it was Hazrat Ali bin Hajar Hiti radiallahu anh. He was seated in the darbar of Sarkari Ghaus Pak radiallahu anh. Ghaus Pak was lecturing and he fell asleep in the court of Sarkari Ghaus Pak at that time. He wouldn't fall asleep because ma'adallah the lecture was not, was so called boring to him. No, that was a ruhaniyat that was overwhelming him at that time.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
उल्टे चाल चलते हैं दीवानगान इश्क
Beshak. Subhanallah.
आंखें बंद करते हैं दीदार की
Subhanallah.
They close their eyes to see, we open our eyes to see. So at that time he was overwhelmed spiritually and his eyes closed, he fell asleep. After some time all the people saw that Ghaus Pak radiallahu anhu's hand tied. He's standing in front of that Hazrat Ali bin Hajar Hiti radiallahu ta'ala. Said, oh, after everything was over, Sarkari Ghaus Pak went back to the minbar. After a little while, when he opened his eyes, Hazrat Ghaus Pak radiallahu went back on the minbar. Everybody said, Ki Ghaus Pak radiallahu anhu, big Imam al-Awliya, standing with respect in front of a man who's sleeping. He said, you people thought he's sleeping, his naseeb was awake.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
You people thought he was sleeping. His naseeb and his destiny was glowing. He was seeing the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his dream. He was seeing the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his dream. He said, let me tell you, the reason I went and stood in front of him is because Ali bin Hajar Hiti was seeing the beloved Nabi in his dream. Abdul Qadir was seeing with the eyes of his head.
Narae Takbir. Narae Takbir.
Abdul Qadir was seeing with the eyes of his head. So this is the shan of the dream of Sarkari, of somebody else. What Ghaus Pak is seeing in that person's dream, then what must be the shan of Sarkari Ghaus Pak? So Sarkari Ghaus Pak, Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam came and put his lu'ab dahan in the blessed mouth of Sarkari Ghaus Pak. How many times you heard this waqia? I can't count how many times I've heard it. I've heard it from the time I can understand. I got some aqal as a child. When we started understanding, we heard the ulama. From that time we heard how Sarkari Ghaus Pak's blessed mouth, Aka Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam put the lu'ab dahan. But today something came to my mind. Something came to my mind. That what must be the shan of that mouth? We're talking about the lu'ab dahan. What must be the shan of that mouth that is worthy of the lu'ab dahan of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Look at it in that direction. What must be the shan of the mouth which is worthy of the lu'ab dahan of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And also by Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam putting his lu'ab dahan in the mouth of Sarkari Ghaus Pak radiallahu anhu. Sarkari do Alam sallallahu alaihi wasallam was authorizing and verifying and certifying that indeed ye Hasani bhi hai, ye Husaini bhi hai. That indeed, because this is what I used to do when my grandchildren used to be thirsty, I used to put my zuban in their mouth so that they could choose on my saliva mubarak. This was being manifested in the zuban of Sarkari Ghaus Pak radiallahu anhu from the court of the beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Now the beloved Rasul sallallahu, why now will Ghaus Pak zuban not be so sweet? Why won't he be so eloquent? Why won't he be so fluent? Because the beloved Nabi sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam puts his lu'ab dahan, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gargles into a well that is bitter. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gargles his mubarak, the water from his mubarak mouth into a well, and the lu'ab dahan falls into the well. That was one of the most bitter khana well. But when the beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gargled into the well, then that water became the sweetest water. It was smelling like musk, and up to today it is called Bir Shifa. Up to today it is called Bir Shifa. The Nabi puts his lu'ab dahan into a well, it becomes Bir Shifa. He puts his lu'ab dahan into the eyes that are infected of Mawla Ali radiallahu, he becomes Fateh Khaybar. And he puts his lu'ab dahan into the mouth of Abdul Qadir, and he becomes Imam al-Awliya. If we can't understand this, what more are we going to understand? What more are we going to understand? This is the maqam and the shan of Sarkari Ghaus Pak. And that is why with that zuban, with that tongue, Sarkari Ghaus Pak radiallahu ta'ala an, with that zuban in which the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam put his lu'ab dahan. That zuban in which Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam put his lu'ab dahan. With that zuban, Sarkari Ghaus Pak stood on his mimbar and he said, Qadami hadihi. With that zuban, he said, Qadami hadihi ala raqabati kulli waliyillah. This foot of mine. I said this before. Qadami, my foot. In Arabic language. The ya in the end means mine. Okay, qadam, foot. Qadami, my foot. Ghaus Pak would have said, qadami ala raqabati kulli waliyillah. Okay, my foot is on the shoulders, necks of all the awliya. But he said, qadami hadi. This foot. Ghaus Pak said, this foot. What did it mean? Ghaus Pak is telling that this is not only ruhani, this is physical. This is physical. Abdul Qadir's qadam is on the neck of all the awliya Allah. His qadam is on the necks of all the awliya Allah. That is why he said, qadami hadihi. This foot of Abdul Qadir is on the necks of all the awliya Allah. And that is why at that time, Hazrat Ali bin Hiti radiallahu anh came to the front and he took the qadam sharif and he put it on the neck, on his neck. And that is why Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiallahu anh, miles and thousands of miles away, he took the qadam of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiallahu anh, and he took the qadam of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak and he became what? Sultanul Hind. Became Sultanul Hind. What does it mean? It means that you humble yourself in the court of the awliya Allah, Allah will exalt you. Humble yourself in the court of the awliya Allah, Allah will exalt you. And with that same zuban, very quickly, and I'm going to end, with that same zuban, Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiallahu anh, what did he say? He said, maqamukumul ula jam. With that same zuban, can't read I don't have time to explain the entire Qasida Ghausiyya today. But one share I'm going to say a little bit about. He said, with that same zuban of sweetness, he said, maqamukumul ula jam'u walakin maqami fawqakum ma zala ali. Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiallahu anh said, all of you have been blessed with an exalted and blessed station. Maqamukumul ula jam'an walakin. My Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak is saying, maqamukumul ula jam'u walakin, all of you put together, all of you have been blessed with an exalted and blessed station. But he says, let me tell you, maqami fawqakum ma zala. He said, all of you have been blessed with an exalted and blessed station, but higher than all of you constantly. But higher than all of you constantly is my exalted station. Maqami fawqakum ma zala ali. The poet has said this very beautifully. He took this, one great scholar took the same words and he said, शक नहीं इस बात में हे आली तुम्हारा मर्तबा, शक नहीं इस बात में हे आली तुम्हारा मर्तबा, पर मेरा तुम सबसे बढ़कर हे हमेशा मर्तबा, पर मेरा तुम सबसे बढ़कर हे हमेशा मर्तबा. मकामुकुमुल अला जमअ वलाकिन मकामी फौककुम मा ज़ाल आली. All of you have been blessed with an exalted and blessed station, but higher than all of you constantly is my exalted station. I'm to tell you, who did Ghaus Pak say this to? To you? To me? Who are we? He said this to the Afthab. He said this to all the awliya. He said this to the Aftabs, that maqamukumul ula jam'u walakin. All your maqams are very exalted, but my maqam is constantly greater than all of you. He said this to the awliya Allah. He said this to the Aftabs. He said all this to all of them. Why did he say this to them? Because he said to them, Sharibtum fadlati min ba'di sukri wala niltum uluwi wattisali. He said this to them, telling them that, do you know why? That my maqam is always above all of you. Why my maqam is constantly above all of you? He says, because you all drank from my blessings which I left. Okay, Sharibtum fadlatim ba'di sukri. All of you drank from the blessings which I left after I was completely spiritually absorbed. You only drank after that. You only drank after that. Wala niltum uluwi wattisali, but still you are unable to reach my grand station or the grand nearness which I have attained. You can't come anywhere near that. So Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiallahu anh is telling all the Aftabs, he's telling all the awliya Allah, that what I'm trying to tell you is that maqamukum al-una jam'u walakin maqami fawqakum ma dal ali, that all of you have great maqams, but you will never reach my maqam, because as much as you are progressing, Abdul Qadir is progressing. As much as you are progressing, Abdul Qadir is progressing. And where you have put your foot only and just started, Abdul Qadir has passed that when you were not even anywhere near it. So you will never reach my maqam. That's why he said, I am constantly progressing. He said that he is constantly progressing. His maqam is constantly progressing. And this is the barakat of the blessings of the beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. That Ghaus-e Azam radiallahu anh is reaching this great status. And Hudur, the awliya Allah have taught us this, that you can never reach the maqam of Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Pak radiallahu anh. No sacha murid is going to tell you he is like Ghaus-e Pak. Leave alone Ghaus-e Pak. If somebody tells you he's better than his peer, something is wrong somewhere. No Kamil Sheikh person will tell you that day. No true seeker will tell you that day. He will all say, I'm a humble servant of my Mashayikh. Why? By humbling yourself before the pious, Allah makes you exalted. And this was a lesson from the court of Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Azam Jilani radiallahu anh. That is why Sarkar-e Huzur Sayyidi Taj Sharia beautifully said, he said, Ho sake to dekh akhtar baag-e jannat mein use. About who? Sarkar Mufti Azam. About his murshid. He said, हो सके तो देख अख्तर बाग जन्नत में उसे वो गया तारों से आगे आशियाना छोड़. He said about his murshid that if possible Akhtar should see him in the gardens of paradise. He has gone beyond the stars, traversing the world, the worldly abode he has departed. And for us to understand that this is the shan of the pious servants of awliya, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Azam said, Maqamukum al-ala jam'a walakin maqami fawqakum ma zala hali. And if we hold firm to the pious servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we hold firm to their daman, then here too we will be kamyab, and in the akhirat too we will be kamyab. It is something for us to understand that our love for Ghaus-e Pak radiallahu anh should be in the sense that Ghaus-e Pak himself asked us to come towards him. But when he said this, whatever he said by the hukum of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever he said was because of ilham that descended upon him from the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Pak radiallahu ta'ala an is that mahbub, is that beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Pak radiallahu an is, look, everybody progresses with the aid of somebody. Murid progresses with the aid of his murshid. He progresses with the aid of his murshid. He progresses with the aid of his murshid, and so on and so forth. Subhanallah, the shan of the murshid of Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Pak. Subhanallah. Hazrat Abu Sayyid Mubarak al-Makhzumi, what did he say? He said, Abdul Qadir has worn the khirqa from me. Abdul Qadir has worn the garb of spirituality from me, and I have worn the khirqa from Abdul Qadir. Subhanallah. He has worn it from me, and I have worn it from him. This alone will show us the shan of Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Pak radiallahu anh. And that is why we should hold firm to the court of Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Pak radiallahu anh. Hold firm to the doorpost of Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Pak. Hold firm to the chaukat of Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Pak. Why? As Ala Hadrat Adimul Barakat said, Tujh se dar se sag se hai mujhko nisbat. Tujh se dar se sag aur sag se hai mujhko nisbat. मेरी गर्दन में भी है दूर का दौरा दे. या Ghaus-e Pak radiallahu anh, to you the doorpost, tujhse dar, your doorpost is connected to you. To you the doorpost, to eat the dog. To you the doorpost, to eat the dog, and to your dog I am connected. To you the doorpost, to the doorpost, because where the dog is tied? Where the dog stays? At the doorpost, not inside. To you the doorpost, to the doorpost the dog, and to your dog, I am connected. On my neck as well, your extended leash is firmly connected. If that leash stays connected, then it is in the hand of Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Pak. We will be safe here and we will be safe in the hereafter. And I'm ending by saying that don't listen to anybody who tells you that those people who say don't make Gyarhweeñ Shareef, don't celebrate Ghaus Pak's niyaz, don't make his urs, and you are alike. This is utter nonsense. Those who are the dushman of the awliya and those who are the slaves of awliya can never be alike. It is not possible. And those who say that the awliya Allah cannot benefit you, those that say that the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam does not know what is our hal ma'adallah, those who say all these things, understand. And if still we want to regard them as being Ahl Sunnah, we still want to call such people Sunni, so what is our hal? What is our hal? The reality needs to be understood. The true Sunnis are those who believe that I am sitting here in Lodge Grove right now, but when I say Ya Ghaus al-Madad, My Ghaus Pak said, if I'm in the east and my murid is in the west, I will stretch out my hand and I will go to his aid. But they say, but how do we know that we got the aid? I said, Dil se to pukar ke dekho. Call from your heart and you will see how the madad of Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak radiallahu will come. The true Sunnis are those who believe that we are sitting here and we are sending salawat upon our Nabi. Our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is aware of our condition and is hearing our dua. These are the true believers. Don't get caught up in the trap of those who are trying to spread the sulh kulli fitna. That everybody is fine. Inse bhi inki saath bhi dosti karo, unki saath bhi dosti karo. And lately I've been talking about this for the last 20 years. But I'm telling it more often nowadays because we're seeing this is happening more often nowadays. That openly this fitna is spreading, that all one. Put everybody together. This putting everybody together is zahr qatil. It is a poison that will take leave alone take our lives. It will take the iman of the people. Okay? And life can go jaan to gai. If iman goes, what are you going to do? So please, for the sake of your own iman and the iman of your generations to come, don't compromise your deen. And when you hear from somebody saying, कि वो भी ठीक, ये भी ठीक, take him out of your life, no matter who he may be, like how you take out a fly when it falls in the teeth. Take it out and throw it away. You don't want to have anything to do with it. Protect yourself, and we protect ourselves for everything else. The most important thing is to protect our iman, because if ours goes down, what's going to happen to the next generation? So on nights like this, of Gyarhweeñ Shareef, it is time for us to reflect. Ghaus Pak's mother taught him how to reflect. See, the reason that people do this, and I'm quickly telling you this, 2 minutes left. हाँ ठीक है मगर सवा तो अजान है. Simply I want to tell you this, that otherwise there's no problem, there's no limit. Isha is, mashallah, Hanafis, we got enough time. But simple to understand, very simple. Look at Ghaus Pak's life. Somebody came the other day to sit with me and they were asking me some points about Ghaus Pak. One brother, and I was trying to explain to him. One of the things I mentioned, and I'm going to share this with you. What is the reason that people ask, what they call him, seesaw? Hafiz Sahib usually says, Maulana, they're batting all sides. What is the reason for this? The reason for this is attachment to the dunya. Allah. This is because of attachment to wealth. This is because of greed for dunya and for power and for name and fame. That it has blinded them to the reality. Allah. And this lesson about detachment was taught by Sarkar-e Ghaus Pak's mother. When Ghaus Pak radiallahu anhu's mother, how many times you heard the waqia? When Ghaus Pak radiallahu anhu's mother sent him to Baghdad Sharif. She was about, I think, 78 years old at that time. There are numerous narrations. When Ghaus Pak went to Baghdad Sharif, Ghaus Pak radiallahu anhu went to Baghdad Sharif. Quickly, I'm going to tell you this. When Ghaus Pak went to Baghdad Sharif to study, okay, he was a young man. His mother knew that I would not get to see him again. I am very old. By the time he completes his studies, he will not come back again. But Ghaus Pak radiallahu anhu's mother, when she sent him, what she gave him? What did she give him? 40 gold coins, nah? Gave him 40 gold coins, isn't it? Waqia is very famous. Sewed into his clothing, in the armpit area. Sewed into his clothing, nobody could have found it. But we all know the waqia. Then the bandits came, they searched everybody, they asked everybody. They asked Ghaus Pak, he said, yes, I got. They just ignored him and went away. Then another one came, asked him, ignored him, went away. Another one came. Then when they went to the leader, they were talking among themselves, they said, there's one youngster here, he said, he got 40 gold coins. They said, bring him and come. Bring him and come. How many times you heard this waqia? Your whole life you heard this waqia, isn't it? They brought him and came. The leader asked, do you really have 40 gold coins? He said, yes, wait. He said, they are sewn into my clothes. When they opened, ripped apart the clothes, what they found? The 40 gold coins. The leader was stunned. He said, how? Why did you tell? We would have never known. Why did you say? We would have never known that you had this 40 gold coins. Why did you tell us? He said, when I was leaving, I promised my mother that I would never lie. I promised my mother that I will never lie. What did the leader do? He fell at the feet of Ghaus Pak and he made tawbah. He said, if this is your promise to your mother is so sincere, what about our promise as Allah's servants to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How many times you heard this waqia? But let me tell you, this was the firasat and the wilayat of Ghaus Azam's mother.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah.
We're talking about the karamat of Ghaus Pak and his truth and his sincerity always. But I think we missed a very important point. That this was the firasat of the mother and the wilayat of the mother. Because why would the mother tell him never lie? No matter what happens, don't ever lie. Because she already saw my son will face this one day. While he is on the journey, he's going to be accosted. Her wilayat already saw he's going to be accosted. And she said, don't lie. Not because he would lie. She said, don't lie. She was teaching him, beta, this is only dunya. Beta, this is only dunya. This is only world. Don't lie because of the sake of the world. Tell the truth, and the moment you tell the truth, that group of bandits will make tawbah on your hands. This was the... Look at the spiritualism behind it. Look at the ruhaniyat behind it. So what is it? That child who is nurtured by a mother like that? If he's not going to become Ghaus Azam, then what is he going to become? They were not attached to the dunya. That is why they sacrificed everything. They thought of nothing. When it came to telling what was true, even on issues like that, when he wasn't prepared to tell a lie because of the word to his mother, imagine when anybody spoke against the hukum of Allah and His Rasul, how openly he would have spoken. So this should be a lesson for us. This is what you learn. When you talk about the awliya and you have the urus, you should learn from their lives. Allah give us tawfiq khair. May we understand, may we remain firm on iman, may we remain firm on mazhab ahl sunnah, maslaki ala hadrat, adimul barakat radiyallahu anhu, ala hadrat, adimul barakat radiyallahu anhu. Because today people are saying, why do people only make ala hadrat, ala hadrat, ala hadrat? I finish answer this 10 times. I finish answer this not 10 times, 100 times. Actually this year, in Lodge Grove Masjid, I think Hafiz will not remember. This year, I think in this month, or before this month, this year is my 20 years in this masjid. After Hazrat Maulana had left, 20 saal ho gaye mujhe, Juma parate yahan is masjid. But for the 20 years, I'm telling the same thing. Have I told anything different? Have I changed my tune in 20 years? I'm asking one simple question. Anyone here can say that I changed my tune in 20 years. What I said 20 years ago, those who are hearing, and what I said now? I'm saying that for what reason? Why am I saying Ala Hadrat and people are objecting? Why you all say Ala Hadrat? Because the torch and the lamp that showed us the direction to Baghdad Sharif is Ala Hadrat. The lamp that showed us how to go to Khaja Garib Nawaz and to put chadar on his Mazar Sharif and to say Ya Khaja Al-Madad is Ala Hadrat Azimul Barakat. If we are going to forget the light that showed us the path, how will we remember the path? It's simple. And this is why we're going on saying this. Hold firm to his way, for he taught us how to love the pious. He taught us how to be with the pious. He taught us what is the meaning of waqulu ma'as-sadiqin. Allah keep us with iman, let us live.